Kristen, welcome to That Will Never Work. I'm looking forward to this because on the show we do a variety of different types of businesses at various stages, and you're kind of at almost my favorite stage, which is at least when you had called in and left a message, you were kind of pre-launch even. I mean, you were still in that stage of thinking it through and building it and kind of getting ready. So I'm really kind of interested to dig in on it. And so I think what the best way to do this is if you could start by just kind of telling us what is the problem that you were trying to solve, and then how are you trying to solve it? And then maybe we could segue from there into what it is you want to talk about today.
Okay, well, thank you so much. I'm so excited to be here. I don't know if you know this, but I actually met you, well, not met you, but listened to you the first time on Clubhouse. And since then, I've been following you, not literally, and not literally. But yeah, I was so excited when I heard that there's this opportunity to ask you a question. So a little bit, hiring is a quick service hire app that connects skilled professionals and individuals with last minute jobs or gigs at their convenience. So it's totally based on their availability. It's a wide variety of industries from trade, beauty, hospitality, entertainment. I kind of wanted to make it as such an inclusive app. And the reason I wanted to do this app selfishly was for myself. I had been serving and bartending for off and on for about 17 years. And as I was trying to figure out what I wanted to do in my life, I had always had that kind of comfort of having a serving job on part-time. I'm in the real estate business now, and I still, as I grow that business, still need sometimes serving shifts here and there to kind of help compensate. And then when COVID kind of came in, it took out the hospitality industry as well as some of the commercial real estate business, which I do. And I was left kind of with no other way of making income. So I decided to kind of take an idea I had been working on and kind of manufacture it around maybe the quick hire service that would, maybe help me be able to pick up gigs and events when things started opening up around my availability that didn't jeopardize time with my already day job. And that's kind of where the idea kind of branded from.
I'm confused, but I think I know, but I'm not sure. The reason here, I'll give you the confused part first. Aren't there a million services in the world that help people get jobs?
Yes, of course. You have like Indeed and Monster, and I think that those are more for the 9 to 5 employee. This is generated towards a side hustle income.
But there's Merry Maids, and
Yep.
there's ones for specific. There's TaskRabbit. I mean,
There's extra work.
what's the hole this is filling that none of those already fill, or is this similar to those?
Well, I guess mine technically, because that's where my question will come into. Um, my business is filling a gap because I feel like InstaWork and a lot of these ones are very, I would say, inclined to just look at one specific part of industries, where you have like the hospitality side, or you have some of the other ones that are more, the cleaning services. This app kind of actually does where it includes all different types of industries. We're not like anything. You can be a dog walker, a car detailer. This is basically just a side hustle platform that allows people to be able to pick up work at their convenience, either last minute. We are going to create a function where they can pre-book their gigs as well, but this is all done online. There's no booking agency. There's no one they have to talk to. They sign up, they download their profile. When they're ready to work, they're there. And when jobs are available, they get dinged, and they can connect with the person hiring. And the person hiring could be a business or an individual, not like yourself or myself, who's hiring for a private party or a private event or anything like that. And so it kind of opens it up to be able to not only help people in major cities, but people in smaller towns as well, try to build up on that financial side hustle part that COVID really took a strain to.
So, wow, do I have a lot of places that we could take this conversation already. But just to make my life a little bit easier, what is it? Anything particular that you're struggling with, worrying about, wanted to ask about? Not that I guarantee I'm going to answer it, but it might help me focus a little bit.
Yeah, so my question was, and the one reason I wanted to talk to you is, I'm doing this all on my own, which is a little overwhelming. Being a solopreneur is I would say very difficult. Because you don't have any support, you don't have, or you're kind of taking on every single aspect of the business. You're learning so much as you go, but for me personally, I am in the real estate business, so I do have that full-time business, and then I've been working on this business on the side. And as I look for funding, because it's kind of where I'm at to try to see if I can get this into development, I find that most investors I've talked to are looking for teams, as opposed to investing in just one person, and which I completely understand that I've been doing it by myself. And so my question is really like, how do I do it as a solopreneur if that's the only option? And like, what are areas that you think that I should focus most on, and things that I don't have to necessarily worry about right at this stage where I'm at?
Okay, so my answer is probably going to not be what you were expecting. Is I don't think you are ready to be anything other than a solopreneur. I should put that differently. It's not that you aren't ready because there'd be some failure in you. I think you are too early to have two people struggling with this. If two people happen to have formed an alliance and said, let's go figure out something we can do together, that's fine too. In fact, that probably is even better. But I don't think that's what your issue is right now. And being very honest, I'm almost certain that that's not the reason that you're having a hard time getting funding. As a quick aside, venture, or anyone who's in the funding business, it's one of those businesses where nobody ever wants to say no. And not because they're unfailingly polite, and I hate saying no. It's because there's only downside to no. Whereas giving a excuse turn down is a way to stay in your good graces. In the event that Kristen stumbles onto something unbelievable, I can still go back. I haven't shot this person down. And I think that's a version of what you're getting here. I don't think the reason you're not getting funding is because you're not a team. I think it's because I don't think you've yet established that there's a there in your business. And again, in the tough love category, I think you might be going faster than the idea deserves yet. But to give you the opportunity to maybe have me change my thinking about that, let me ask you the basic question, which is, what gives you confidence there is a market for this besides you?
Besides me, yes. Well, I've done focus groups for the last year, speaking to people in the hospitality industry, in the beauty industry,
Which side, employees or employers?
Both. So I've talked to people who do events, who are in the event space, who always, and I mean, I used to be someone who did some staffing for a promo agency back in the day, and I remember always, having last minute cancellations or no shows. And unfortunately, there was nothing you could do to get somebody in last minute. It made our company look bad. It made us look bad. But I also was on the other side too, where I was also one of those people who would pick up last minute bartending or serving shifts. So I know personally the struggle that can be on both sides. But I also am a part of a lot of women networking groups, and I've put my idea out there. I've listened to feedback. There were I got so many great responses from it, probably over 500 from women all over the world that were asking when this app could be available in their areas and stuff like that, because they're always looking to find a platform where they can make extra money on the side, using the skills that they have or the businesses that they have. And so I found especially women took the biggest hit through COVID financially. And I thought, if I'm a person who has another business who's still looking to find extra income, there's got to be other people out there just like me. And, through my focus groups and chatting, and every time I had a conversation with someone, it was an idea I continue to put in front of people for feedback. The thing was, they've never heard of anything like this. So although I believe, and I do know from research, there are other companies just like mine, whether the awareness is out there or not, that was something that I struggled with myself and figured, why not me? Why not I try to do it, since I am someone that would use it. And I believe in the idea. I believe in the service. So if no one else is going to create it for us, then I will.
So first of all, what you've done is fantastic. You've taken that first step, which is going out and finding these pain points. And it sounds like you have talked to a lot of employers who are saying, I would love it if there was a way for me to, on a 2 hours notice, get a bartender. And or whatever, or a server, or whatever this range. Is it mostly hospitality based, or are you finding things? Is
Well,
that
I'm
the sweet
finding,
spot?
yeah, I mean, hospitality is where it started because that's my background. But we in the event space have found for makeup artists and promo models, even for construction, for real estate, needing stager, because I've done real estate where sometimes you have to put up a house last minute. You need a cleaning service, a staging company. These things are things you need within 24 hours. It's hard to book because here in Toronto, the market is insane. And I went through an experience in the summer where it took me a long time to
Yeah.
find
I'm
that kind
sorry,
of service.
you did, it was my fault. You did say at the very beginning, this was a very horizontally focused idea, which is for everything, which, God, scares me even more. But I used to understand. Okay, so you realize that there are plenty of employers who are going, gosh, I'd love to get someone on a few hours notice. And you've also said there's tons of people who would love to be able to get jobs on a few hours notice, right?
Yes.
So what is the app the magic piece?
Yeah, I would say that, yeah, it's not a staffing agency. There is no go-between. It is completely done by them, almost, if not to use that as an example, but like an Uber, where they just sign up, their profile's done. When they're ready to work, they put the hours that they're available to work. And when a job comes up, they'll get a notification when selected for that job. They accept the job and they're automatically connected. And the payment goes throughout the app as well. So we don't actually have to call and make that extra step difficult for them. It's a very simple, easy
Are
step
there
for
are there agencies that do that manually now?
to be honest, the ones that I found that I used as my research were mostly focused on the agency part where they were staffing themselves through the business. They had apps as well, but they were predominantly putting people together. And I'm taking that step out because I just don't think that it's necessary. I think adults can, book and pick their people that they want. And as long as the profiles are there and it's an available service, then they don't need me to have to go in between or anybody else.
I guess, and I'm probing on this for a reason, but
Yeah.
there are already agencies that if you need a bartender in 2 hours, you can call them,
Yep.
and people who want to be bartender, I'm picking bartenders just because you said you've done that some, who are registered with this company, and you can call that the catering company can call that company, and in 2 hours that company will get a bartender for them.
Yeah.
That exists
I mean,
already.
I'm assuming that there is probably a bunch like that. Like I said, that this one just allows that nobody has to be working for any specific company. This could be individual, this could be company based. They don't have to be loyal to anything. They set up for free. So there isn't where they feel like that agency is the only one working for them. This app works with everybody.
Let's take two scenarios. Let's say you were able to point to, there's 7 or 8 companies you're in Toronto, is there something like that?
Yes.
7 or 8 companies in Toronto, which right now match up short-term labor with short-term demand with short-term supply. So, and I can put, here they are. This is the company that in fact, I as a bartender, I'm registered with these 5 agencies, and I'm on, they have my hours, like you said. They know I'm available to work, and now these catering companies, they can call and do it. Because if that existed, what that would tell me is that there's absolutely supply and demand for what you're trying to do. There is absolutely a there. In which case, your proposition is not, I think that if there was a way to connect these two, there'd be this instant flow that people who want jobs would get them, people who want to hire would get employees. That the app would create something which I think is there, but I'm not sure it's there. Because if you pointed to these 7 companies and go, it's absolutely there, there's no question about that. No one who's investing money has to worry about there's tons and tons and tons of this matching going on. What I can do is do it more efficiently. I can do it faster. I can do it cheaper. I can do it better. And here's why. And that could be a compelling proposition. But I think that you have to have that problem solving has to be, I don't want to use the word real because I know that it's there. I just think that there's a complexity to it that I'll be on your side here, may not fully understand, or I'm trying to understand if you fully understand it. And for example, I think I've had 2 different entrepreneurs I've spoken to in a similar circumstance, not doing anything similar to yours. In fact, the very first podcast episode we released was the young woman who was building Uber for healthcare, for home healthcare, which is a small subset of what you're talking about doing. Wouldn't it be great if you all of a sudden needed someone to do some home healthcare task? There's the demand. And you have this whole network of people who want to provide it. I'm going to build an app that allows you to go in the app and say, I want to get this person, this nurse to do so-and-so. The nurse has her hours like Uber. Boom, it's done. Conceptually wonderful. But what I told her, which is kind of the same thing I'm probing here for you, is you can prove whether your premise is correct without having to build the app. And you can do it with paper and pencil and pads and sweat, which is there's no reason that you can't be the artificial app. Yeah, you do these things manually at first. And if you are right, you'll have a nervous breakdown. Not because your idea is bad. You'll be so excited your idea is really working. You'll have a nervous breakdown because the whole thing is working and you're constantly calling back and forth and you're connecting people. But I suspect you're going to find out there is some flaw in the supply and demand matchup. And now if I put on my investor hat and Kristen's coming into me and saying I want to raise some money, I'm not sure it's real. I don't know why it's not real. I don't understand this business. I'm not in it. But I can think of a lot of reasons why it's not real. And they come from the classic, it's kind of funny, the call I was just on was about a 2-sided network as well. Usually in a 2-sided network where you're connecting a supply side and a demand side, one side is always, the problem is finding the match. I mean, you have too much supply or you have too much demand or you don't have enough. In other words, you have tons of people who want part-time bartenders. I'm picking a narrow niche. And so there's tremendous demand, but there's no supply. And so eventually they go, why am I going to this app first when I hit the app and no one's ever there? Or you're convincing people, put yourself in the app. And they put themselves in the app with all their hours and no calls come. So that's the piece that you're trying to demonstrate is there, and you're fortunate that you can demonstrate it's there without having to spend $15 or $20 or $150 or $200,000 on building an app to do it. Is it repeatable and scalable? No. It's beyond one, define just a few categories in a few hours, you can't do it. If you are successful, like I said, you'll have a nervous breakdown. It doesn't work. But just think of the message that when you go into fundraise for that it's you go, oh my God, this is unbelievable how crazy busy this is. I have tapped into this incredible thing. And now I'm looking for the money to raise the money to build the app to automate this so I can scale it. Right now I can't scale it. Or I'm scaling it. I'm hiring my cousin, my neighbor, my roommate. We're all answering phones. We're texting furiously. You have to demonstrate there's a there. I think. Now, that's not, because what I'm scared of, and I truly, listen, my heart is I'm on the side of every entrepreneur. What I'm really scared of is you build this app, and it's the classic, what if I build it and nobody comes? So I'll stop and and see if I'm completely off base here. But that's why I start off by saying, how do you know there's a there?
Yeah, I mean, I trust me, I absolutely agree. For me, I think that some of the best ideas that I've seen and heard come from people's own experiences and something that they're building out, as an everyday person. And for me, I've been in the industry a long time. I know how the industry works, specifically that industry, but I've also done things in the entertainment industry, and using, in the beauty industry, and I have friends and family in the trade industry. Um, so for me, when you say there's a there, I personally have experienced it. I've lived it for the last probably decade, on both sides. And I think as things go kind of back into some sort of normal and the world kind of opens back up, I think you're going to see a lot more people trying to add extra income, but people actually going out and having these events and needing these people and growing their businesses, requiring to hire people, maybe not permanently, but on these, like, jobs here and there. And I think that if the more inclusive I am, the more opportunity I can put out there to help as many people who've been in situations like me. And that's where it comes from. And I think, there's always an opportunity to fail at it, for sure. But I think, for me, I would rather at least try and say I did try to do something that was going to help me and people that like me, than just not to just give up. I don't think that that's something that I'm.
And you should make sure you hear me really clearly. I am absolutely not saying give up. Absolutely not.
No,
And
no, I'm not saying you. I'm just saying, when you're saying
yeah,
to, put the money out there, and I get that, I did, do some things with the app so that it wasn't as expensive. I'm not going to go put out this crazy app. It's something that I think that could be developed and, done better over time as we see the usage go up. I don't think we have to put out the most perfect app. I think we just have to make sure that the structure works, that people can get hired, and that we're taking protocols to make sure it's a safe environment and doing those background checks and things that we can do through technology. And as we continue to grow the business, as we see it scale, when you can build out your team at that point, that's when I would start putting in those aspects to make it even better and better. For now, I'm just trying to get a service to, to help people.
I'll try and be clear about where I'm coming from on this. And I'll first give you the background of why Mr. Optimistic, which is what I am. I'm always a believer. I've seen this idea a ton. Not specifically the way you laid it out, but I've seen it I worked with a bunch of categories, it's a terrible expression, they're pink collar, it's called, but like nails, hair, and there was always this classic mismatch. And I can't tell you how many companies have gone after the two-sided network. You have someone who's rented space to have their nail service, in a spa, in a salon, and they have any extra hour they have is irreplaceable. And so they're going, how can I fill that hour? Well, it'd be great for the person who suddenly wants this, and no one can seem to make it work. And I've had 3 different companies that I've worked with trying that because I love that. Another example are people doing the trades, which is I want to get a plumber, I want to get a carpenter, I want to get these things. And then carpenter's going, I'd love to get quick. No one has really seen that I've seen has really make it work. And then, of course, the big winner in the category, TaskRabbit, who was doing almost exactly, but not in the specialized sense, but a labor matchup. And even they have struggled for a long time to scale that. So I start from Mr. Optimism starts from this cynical sense. And I can narrow down the question. I'm saying, is the magic the app? And my gut is it's not. Either you're correct in your premise that when someone wants a bartender at 7 o'clock p.m. that night and posts on the app at 4 o'clock in the afternoon, that there's 5 or 6 people who want that job. If that's correct, it works, and it'd be very successful. And if there's tons of people like that, if it's happening recurrently, 7 days a week, multiple times a day throughout the year, and there's always people 7 days a week at multiple hours throughout the year who want those things, you're absolutely right. You've got a tremendous business. But the app isn't the magic. It's having identified the fact that you have this two-way demand for services that they just can't find each other, and you can match them together. And whether the app is good or bad, it doesn't make a difference yet, which is you're right. But I'm just taking it a step further, is you can prove it since the app is not the magic, you can prove it to yourself and to people by doing it without the app. Because you can do it without the app for a fraction of the price. And you could have been doing it without the app 6 months ago, or 9 months ago, or 12 months ago when you began designing the app and finding someone to help build the app. So I'm not saying listen, you're almost done with the app, build the app, launch the app, try it. I'm just saying that you can find the thing that the big uncertainty, the uncertainty I swear your investors were uncertain about. It wasn't about, I wonder if an app can do these. They know an app can do this. It's been done a million times. There's no technical risk here. Their mystery was, is this really a two-sided network that matches, or is there some mismatch here that Kristen doesn't get? That either there's not enough supply, there's not enough demand, or the two of them don't align in terms of days, weeks, and hours. That's what everyone's worried about. And your responsibility as an entrepreneur is to mitigate that, is to say that's not a risk. And let me show you why it's not a risk. And right now, you can't demonstrate that until after you've spent X thousands of dollars on the app. And what I was saying is, I would have encouraged you a year ago to say, fuck the app, do it on paper, because then you'll quickly know, is either you're right in your first try, holy shit, my life, I can't breathe, I'm so busy making calls back and forth. Then you go, wow, I'm right. Okay, then I go, great, build the app. But more likely you're going to go, oh boy, I was right. I have tons of people who want people, but the people who want to work, yes, some days, no, other doesn't. I can't align them. Or you get the idea. I'll shut up on this.
No, I love it. No.
Since the podcast is for you, but it's for other people listening. It's identify what really is the problem, and how can I solve that problem as quickly and cheaply? Find out. It does not need to be repeatable and scalable. That's really the thing. Okay, let me twist it again. Let's talk briefly about two things. God, I love the idea, by the way. I love two-sided networks is like my passion. So that's probably why you're hearing so much passion from me about it, because I love solving that problem. The solopreneur thing. In my estimation, what is the most effective way to find somebody is to wait until you have that heat, and which is I'll call it's once you've proven that there is there. Once you go, oh my gosh, there is supply and there is demand, and they do match, or I've figured out a way to match them, and I figure it's a clever thing, and I'm going out of my mind trying to do this because it's not repeatable and not scalable. And usually when people are on your side of it, they're looking for technical help, and which is even harder to find a partner to do that, because the last thing engineers want to hear is, hey, build my idea. But there's something very powerful about going, I need advice, Mr. Technical Friend. here's what I'm doing, and oh my God, it's going crazy, and I'm up all night now making texts and writing, and I swear to God, she or he or whoever they are is going to say, well, gosh, you could, do this way, or you could structure the app, and then halfway through the conversation, it's we could, and then it draws people in to solve a real problem rather than a pie in the sky. And the same thing happens with a business partner too. Is the most powerful thing you can do is by demonstrating you've found this elusive energy and you're looking for advice, but it draws people in because it's a real problem they get to solve. And that's why I suggest at the beginning of the call to wait. Because it'll be much, much, much easier. You'll find a person who is motivated by the right things. You'll watch their excitement about the problem you're solving. They'll see very clearly these specific things that need to get done to help it scale. It'll be way less of that hand-waving, imagine if you will stuff that you have to do a lot of now.
Okay. No, that's good. That's what I wanted to hear. So that helps a lot.
In other words, you're fine. You're not. I beat you up on the app piece of it, but it's okay because you're doing exactly right by saying, I'll keep this simple, keep it myself until I show that stupid Marc Randolph guy how wrong he was about this app thing, which I hope you do, because that would be awesome.
Well, you know what? I always appreciate the time because, like if you're not learning from people, if you're not taking feedback, getting constructive criticism, it's really hard when you're just by yourself doing it alone, not to know where to go. So, everything you said, is implemented in me and something that I will use as a great tool on how I structure myself and my days going forward.
Yeah, it's a kiss-ass kind of business, unfortunately, where people don't really necessarily want to. You see the entrepreneur, and they have so much belief and enthusiasm. The last thing you want to do is go, "What are you doing?" So, not that I'm saying that. I swear I'm not. But that's why sometimes it's helpful to have somebody tell you, "Geez, slow down," or "Try this." And so, where you are is where you are, and it's great. And the advice I've given that was writ large. That was say, you should have done it manually before you built an app. But that advice works every time. Is you do not need to build repeatable, scalable systems. Every time you have an interesting idea, think of what could I do today, down and dirty, that would allow me to get some confidence that this idea I have might actually work. That's so much better than going, okay, I've got this idea, it's got to be perfect, we'll launch it in 6 weeks. No, then you have the perfectly built wrong thing. And I'd rather you have a piece of crap which gives you an inkling you're going in the right direction. Success is proportionate to how much you try, and how much you try is proportionate to how quick and dirty and cheap you can make each try. So do with that what you will. But start by focusing. Really, if again, this has come back, and as you go for your little walk today, and you're going, gosh, is the app really the magic sauce, or is the magic sauce something else? Also, say to yourself, is the fact that I do everything simultaneously the magic sauce, or is that just trying to have it be big? Because it'll work on all of these things. Because if being big is not the differentiator, if you're not going in and saying the reason you should do me is because I do everything, then don't do everything. Pick hospitality. Start with hospitality, then expand to the next category, then the next category. But it's going to be hard enough getting supply and demand matched up in one niche. Anyway, all right, Kristen, got one more thing that I got to ask of you. I'm going to check in. I'm going to be watching. I'm going to be following you, and so I need you to let me know. And we're going to check back in again in 6 months or so, and I'm going to want to hear where you are at that point, because hopefully you're launched, and we'll both learn a lot, and I hope you can tell me how amazingly well it's going. That be okay?
Well, that's the goal. That would be amazing. Yes, I would love that.
Okay. All right, Kristen, I talked a lot this episode, and I'm sorry, but you got me fired up about this. So,
Hey, I would rather your passion come in and let me know. I came here to listen and learn, not to talk. So this has been great.
okay, great. Well, listen, thanks very much, and we'll chat again, I promise.
All right. Thank you so much, Mark. I appreciate it.
My pleasure.